I went to bed married and woke up divorced. At 63 years old. After 38 years sharing the same bed, the same dishes, the same silences. People think the end of a marriage is always loud, yelling, slamming doors, accusations. But no. Sometimes, it ends in complete silence. It starts with the lack of conversation over breakfast, the touch that never comes, the presence that becomes absence even when the person is still right beside you. When I realized it, I no longer knew who the person sleeping next to me was. And worse, I no longer knew who I was. And it was in that emptiness that I made the hardest decision of my life. I got divorced at 63. And that is the truth no one talks about. Because everyone prepares you for marriage. But no one teaches you how to start over when you've already lived through almost everything. And now, looking back, I see that the hardest part wasn't the separation. It was facing the mirror, alone, and asking, what's going to become of me now? We met when we were young, in Asheville, North Carolina, in the United States, and like almost every couple of our generation, we fell in love. We married for love, yes, but also because it was what was expected of us. We built a life together, a house, children, bills, a routine. And for a long time, I thought that was happiness. I kept myself busy with the family, with work, with birthdays and special dates. But little by little, I began to realize that the marriage was no longer a space of connection, but of function. He fulfilled the role of husband, I fulfilled the role of wife, and together we were a well-oiled team, that no longer looked each other in the eyes. I still made his coffee every morning, but I couldn't say when we last had a real conversation. We slept side by side, but it felt like we were on different continents. As the children grew and went on with their lives, the house grew quieter. And in that silence, the questions came. Why are we still together? Is it fear of loneliness? Convenience? Habit? I looked at him and felt respect, affection, even gratitude. But not love. And I could see that he no longer tried to hide his boredom either. We spent wedding anniversaries like any other day. No dinner, no special look, not even a happy anniversary. It's hard to admit that. We built so much together, but we got lost in the very thing that should have kept us close, everyday affection. The truth is, love doesn't die suddenly. It dries up, it slips away into the corners, until one day you realize that all that's left is the shell of what once was. And the most frightening part was realizing that even in unhappiness, I was willing to stay. Out of fear. Fear of being alone. Fear of never being loved again. Fear of regretting it. After all, who starts over at 63? Who's going to want me? Where will I fit in? What if I'm overreacting? What if this is just a phase? That confusion between reason and emotion paralyzed me for a long time. But there was a constant anxiety inside me, like life itself was demanding courage from me. I knew that staying as things were would be a slow emotional suicide. And deep down, I just wanted to feel alive again. I didn't need another person. I needed myself. And that's when the idea of divorce, which once seemed absurd, started to make sense. The decision didn't come from a fight, betrayal, or scandal. It came from silence. From an ordinary evening when we sat at the table and had nothing to say. He ate in silence. So did I. Then, we each went to separate corners of the house. And in that moment, something inside me collapsed. It wasn't anger. It wasn't pain. It was an emptiness so deep it felt like it didn't even fit inside me. I went to the bedroom, looked at myself in the mirror, and said out loud, I don't want to live like this anymore. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just understood. I knew that by speaking those words out loud, a part of my life was coming to an end. And I was ready. for the first time, truly ready to face the storm that was coming. But when I told him, he stayed silent, and that surprised me. He looked at me like he was seeing a ghost. He said just a few words. "Are you sure?" he asked. I said yes. And he didn't argue. And that hurt more than if he had begged me to stay. Because in that exact moment, I realized that he had also given up a long time ago. He just hadn't had the courage to say it. The separation was peaceful, but cold. No big arguments, no goodbye kisses, no tears. Just two bodies too tired to keep fighting for something that no longer existed. We went to the notary, signed the papers, and went back home. He packed his clothes, and when he closed the door, the silence in the house changed tone. Before, it had been suffocating. Now, it was terrifying. If you're still watching this far, please comment your name and your city below. And if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, I ask you to hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. Your support helps us keep creating meaningful content to inspire you. The days that followed were the strangest of my life. My routine changed overnight. There was no one to make coffee for anymore. No sound of keys in the door at night. The bed felt enormous. And time seemed infinite. I looked at the clock and thought, what do I do now with all this freedom? At first, the loneliness wasn't romantic. It was cruel. A kind of mourning with no funeral. I spent nights awake, looking through our photos, listening to old songs, questioning every decision. But amid all that turmoil, there was a small spark. Something inside me saying, now, it's just you for you. And little by little, that voice grew louder. During the first week alone, the silence in the house was deafening. I still woke up early out of habit, but there was no one to call, talk to, or even share a cup of coffee with. I walked through the rooms like I was visiting an abandoned house. The couch felt too big, the TV sounded like forced noise. And the nights were the worst. Sleeping alone after nearly 4 decades beside someone is an experience that shatters you from the inside out. I'd lie down and turn to the side, expecting to hear his breathing, like I always did. And when silence answered, my chest tightened. Sometimes I cried quietly, hiding even from myself. Other times, I just lay there, eyes open, staring at the ceiling, trying to understand who I had become. The days began to drag. I started doing small tasks with more intention, making the bed, cooking just for me, going out to buy bread. Each activity became a rediscovery exercise. Slowly, I began to notice there was freedom in that. That I could choose the music playing in the house, that I could leave the light on as long as I wanted, that I no longer needed to ask anyone what we were having for lunch. These simple things, things that might seem silly, were the first signs that solitude could also be fertile ground. Even with fear, sadness, and that hollow feeling inside me, something began to shift. A kind of seed was germinating there, right in the middle of the pain. And it was in that solitary space that I began to look at myself more closely. I started writing in a notebook, as a way of talking to myself. I revisited old dreams, hidden desires, forgotten hobbies. I started walking in the park again, something I had abandoned out of laziness or lack of company. I went to a senior dance class, trembling with embarrassment, but came home smiling like a child. Little by little, I began to realize that the emptiness left by the divorce could also be space for myself. Not for someone else. For me. And that was the scariest, yet most beautiful, part. Realizing that I didn't need to be part of someone else to feel whole. What no one ever told me is that living alone after 60 isn't a synonym for loneliness. It's actually a reunion. A different kind of silence began to fill the house, not the silence of abandonment, but of peace. I started to enjoy being at home with myself. I'd cook dinner just for me, set the table like I was a special guest. I'd watch my favorite movies without anyone complaining. I rediscovered the joy of reading before bed, of tending to my plants, of blasting music while cleaning the kitchen. Simple things, once overlooked, now had a new flavor. And the most surprising part was realizing that I no longer missed him. I missed myself. And now, I was coming back. People expected to see me broken, fragile, defeated. But the opposite happened. Over time, I became lighter. I started laughing again. I wanted to go out, to dress up, to try new things. I made friends in a group for divorced women, and there I found a support network that saved me on my darkest days. Some of us divorced at 50, others at 70. And all of us carried stories of pain and rebirth. We didn't talk about men. We talked about life. About the trips we still wanted to take, old projects we were reviving, and how we were finally putting ourselves first. And listening to these women, I realized that being alone wasn't the end. It was an invitation. An invitation to choose myself, after so many years choosing others. Today, looking back, I understand that divorcing at 63 wasn't the end of my story, it was the beginning of a rebirth. It was a decision that took me off autopilot and made me reconnect with the person I truly am, the one who had been buried under years of responsibilities, routines, and expectations. Growing older doesn't mean accepting a life without color or dreams, nor settling for silent sacrifices. It means, above all, having the courage to seek your own happiness, even if that means walking alone for a while. That kind of courage is a victory, a powerful act of self-love that few dare to celebrate. For a long time, I feared silence and solitude, believing they were enemies of peace. But I've come to see them as teachers, guiding me to hear my truest voice. Being with myself became a sacred space for self-knowledge and for valuing my own company. I've learned that happiness doesn't depend on someone else being constantly present, but on our ability to love and respect ourselves. When we take responsibility for our own well-being, we open the door to a fuller life, one filled with authenticity and possibility. Late-life divorce is still taboo for many, a topic surrounded by prejudice and judgment. But I choose to see it as an act of liberation and courage. Freeing ourselves from expectations that no longer belong to us, from suffocating social standards, and from relationships that drain our energy is a necessary step toward living more fully. Starting over at 60, or at any age, is an invitation to prioritize what truly matters, and to write new chapters with the ink of our own desires, guided by our deepest truths. Many times, we think that life after 60 is a time of resignation, but it can actually be the most vibrant and authentic phase of our existence. It's a time to cherish the freedom we've earned, to take care of our emotional well-being, and to build a genuine and enriching support network. I've met friends who, just like me, faced fears and doubts but found strength in sisterhood and mutual support. Sharing stories of pain and overcoming strengthens the soul and reminds us that we are not alone on this path. If you're going through a similar phase, filled with doubts, sadness, or fear, I want you to know, you are not alone. Many face these same struggles, but they also discover unexpected strength and deep joy in the places they least imagined. Allow yourself to feel the pain without fear, but don't let it dictate the course of your life. Life is made of cycles, and the next chapter might surprise you, full of learning, growth, and happiness. Believe in your power to transform, because it is already within you, just waiting to awaken. More than that, I invite you to reflect on what it truly means to live well in your later years. It's not just about physical or financial health, but about finding peace within yourself, valuing your time, and honoring the choices you've made. It's about recognizing your own worth and celebrating every small step on the path of self-discovery. The freedom that comes with maturity should be embraced with joy, because it's a unique opportunity for continuous growth and rediscovery. This journey isn't simple, and it's not always easy, but every step is worth it. I've learned that aging is an act of resistance and beauty. It means continuing to write your own story with courage and hope. Every day is a new chance to reinvent yourself, to take care of what truly matters, and to live with purpose. Life, even after 60, is a journey full of meaning, beauty, and infinite possibilities. Finally, I leave you with an invitation. Let's build a space of dialogue, empathy, and support for everyone living this reality. Share your story, your fears, your victories. Because when we share our experiences, we not only strengthen ourselves, but an entire community. The third chapter of life can be the richest of all, as long as we have the courage to write it with love and truth. If this story touched you in any way, don't forget to subscribe to the channel to follow more content that speaks directly to your reality. Here, we'll explore real stories, deep reflections, and helpful tips to live the best phase of life with more autonomy, joy, and purpose. Click the subscribe button and turn on the bell so you won't miss any new videos. Your presence strengthens this growing community, showing that it's never too late to start over and be happy. Come be part of this journey with us.